What is going on, my salty home gymmers? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be talking about a brand we have talked a lot about on this channel, the one and only RITFIT. And today we're going to be tackling the review of the RITFIT M1 Pro. And of course, yes, this is a contender in our all-in-one budget home gym Smith machine tournament, because this is one of our machines that fits that criteria and falls within $1,000 of $1,500. But today, we are just gonna be giving it its day in the sun and tackling this review. A lot of reviews of the M1 have been done and are out there. I haven't watched any of them. It's very important to have that most recent information, and that's why you should stick here. I really didn't think I was gonna think much of it, but after just merely taking it out of the box and assembling it even, I had just a lot to say. But without further ado, speaking of the assembly, that's what we're gonna start here with. So let me talk to you about that. Boxing was pretty general, as seems to be the trend with all our machines that are competing in this series. I got three really good solid boxes, and there's always that one box. But all my parts were here, no real big damage to any of my product. This is the part that I really want to rave about here, which is the assembly itself. I cannot express to you how easy the assembly for this thing is. What a relief. As you can see, my last 3 or 4 videos have been on these all-in-one home gym machines, and I gotta tell you, this thing takes the cake for the easiest all-in-one Smith machine I've ever assembled, period. And look back at my videos, we have reviewed a lot of these. So much effort has been put in here by RITFIT to make this assembly just a piece of cake. Your rear post, that can be confusing. They've clearly put on the post which end to put it in the upright position. The instructions are just blatantly easy, and not only are they blatantly easy, but your bolt packaging makes it extremely easy, because each bolt is organized according to the directions in a step-by-step process, which makes it really easy. The bolts aren't all just thrown together all in one. Here's this size, here's this size. I don't have to keep referring back to the instructions to see which size I'm supposed to use here. They're all just laid out in an organized manner. Most of your long bolts here are gonna have that smooth head side so that you don't need a washer, which might not seem like a big deal, but it does cut a little bit of time. And not only that, the Smith machine that we always complain about being a pain to assemble on these machines was just incredibly easy, because the outside component of this with the rod is already pretty much assembled for you and just fastens to the outside of the machine. It's a one-person job, it's an easy job, and just round of applause for RITFIT for making this assembly so easy. I tend not to rant about the assembly too long, but this one deserves the rant. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about here is the front rack. And I'm going to talk about these front rack attachments here because I have a lot more to talk about in the attachment category that I really want to get to. I'm not going to talk too long about them because they're pretty basic stuff. I would just say they're, your basic beginner attachments. If you're the big beefer that's gonna be slamming weight on this thing, potentially might wanna upgrade, but these are the small, affordably replaceable end of things. What you really wanna know about is the front rack itself, which is not terrible. You have to understand this is RITFIT's attempt at a 2x2 inch post rack. And although these are 2x2 inch posts, they don't have a bad feel to them. It is a bit of a lightweight rack, as you probably already assumed, but there's not a whole lot of flex here like on a lot of these 2x2 inch racks. There is some good stability here. Now, is this your super duper solid 10 gauge, 11 gauge steel rack from these brands that are basically making commercial grade racks for the home gym? No, it's not. But it is a great home use rack that should hold up just fine for 99% of the viewers that are watching this. You're getting about what you'd expect. And there are 13 1-inch holes on the front of each post. If you look out there, there's just a ton of attachments for 2x2 racks like these. They're everywhere now. I believe RITFIT themselves has a few of them, so you can check them out as well. But that's about as deep as I'm gonna go into this thing, because I wanna talk more about some areas that it really shines. One of those categories is the Smith machine. In an era where everybody is making a Smith machine for the home gym, and we've had a few of them on this channel, not every Smith machine is created equal. Some of them are very wobbly, unstable, not balanced. Some of them just aren't smooth, and some of them just have not a good bar on them. And to be honest, your bar tensile strength is a lot more important than people realize on the Smith machine, because you want longevity out of your Smith machine. And guess what? if you don't have a good bar on your Smith machine, it can bend over time, and then there's no replacing it. You're stuck with it. So of the 3 things that I just mentioned, the M1 excels at all those things. And guys, like I said, check out some of my other reviews. I don't say this often. This is the way a Smith machine should be on a budget model like this. The Smith machine on these budget machines is not as tough to manufacture as some of these companies are making it out to be. And the evidence is right here. It has 2 nice thick guide rods on both sides, which keep this machine balanced and stable. The compartment that's holding all these bearings in place is a nice steel structure and capped off very solid on both sides. And it makes for a nice, smooth motion. And last but not least, this bar is just solid steel, nice, solid, thick. It's got good knurling, a stainless steel finish, which don't come on a lot of these budget combo racks. And it feels like you're holding a heavy duty barbell in your hands, which is what this should feel like. There are a few things that are a little different here. For instance, your spotters roll to the front instead of the back, which is a little uncommon these days. And the little pegs for your spotter hook there are on the outside instead of the inside. And I kind of like that a little better. It doesn't make a huge difference to me. It does give me a little more space on the inside here. So great job on the Smith machine. And like we said earlier, it's easy to assemble as well. So there you go. Now the next category that I'm going to talk about is our cable. And yeah, our cable is pretty great here. We do have aluminum pulleys with this model, which is always a great feature. Seeing a lot more aluminum pulleys come standard on these all-in-ones nowadays, and that's pretty much due to the ideology of aluminum pulleys making a machine smoother, which is correct in theory. However, just because a machine has aluminum pulleys doesn't always mean it's going to be smooth. You have to first master that cable path design, which quite frankly, some terribly, terribly expensive machines out there haven't. And they're putting aluminum pulleys on their machine just to make it smoother, and it doesn't work because you just have to have that proper balance and path and structure first in order for that smoothness in these aluminum pulleys to work. And now that I'm done ranting, as it comes to the RITFIT M1, it seems like we already had that smooth path constructed first, because I do believe the original model here did have those nylon pulleys and was already a pretty smooth machine that not a lot of people complained about. So now that we've upgraded to these aluminum pulleys, yes, we are on a good track here, and we do have a very, very smooth cable here. So 0 complaints with the cable. As you can see, just like our other competitor, this is a separate cable housing, functional individually on both sides, plate loaded on both sides. And I also want to talk about the cable coaster, which required no adjustment. It is fairly smooth, and raving I'm going to continue to do, because the storage and attachments in this rack are just fantastic as well. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the storage though. As you can see, I've had the storage capabilities of this machine on display the entire time, and I'm about to add to that scene as well. Because small space people, this rack is for you. Whew, my goodness, look at everything I can fit on the back of this rack. I have 3 plate horns on both sides, which are removable. They don't really need to be removable, but they are. I wasn't complaining because it made this rack a lot easier to assemble, but they function just fine. I really appreciate this because I have a spot to put those dip bars, which rarely do I ever have a spot to put my dip bars on these combo machines. I have a spot to put my spotter arms, and I have a spot to put my J-hooks. It took me a minute to kind of figure out the right position to put it in, but afterwards, yeah, it fits right there. And I like this on the center of the rack because I'm able to push my bench further back into the rack for those Smith machine exercises like those presses. And I'm not sure if that was intentional, but I appreciate it regardless. Then I have 4 hooks on the bottom of my fancy pants stainless steel RITFIT sign, and it is a solid sign, in case you were wondering, and then it has 4 hooks on the bottom of it for my attachments. And then on the back side, as you can see here, I have not 1, but 3 storage options for 3 separate barbells. I only have 2 on here right now, but there is an option for a 3rd. As I've said in previous videos, I think all these machines should have barbell storage at some point. Just storage galore on this rack. And not only storage galore, but attachment galore on this rack. And the first couple attachments that I'll talk about that comes with this rack, I'll talk about them first because they're just kind of I don't know if mediocre is the word, but they're just okay. Functional, yes. Maybe replace them later on down the road for a little bit of nothing, sure. And that's my lat pull down bar and my landmine attachment, and we'll get into that here in a minute. The landmine attachment's actually not bad. I'm being a little critical here, but I'm being critical of these because I just want to go ahead and continue and talk about how awesome the rest of these attachments that come with this rack are. Because as you can see, the rest of these attachments that come on this rack are solid steel, and they just feel absolutely indestructible. I'll bring them up here in view so you can get a good look at them. But yes, they are fantastic. Commercial gym level materials here, and it's very, very appreciated. Now, we'll talk about some of these items that, quite frankly, are coming on all these all-in-ones now. First, I'm gonna start here at the bottom. On your one side, you have your landmine attachment for all those landmine exercises, which is also awesome to have, which creates a ton of new, basic, easy exercises for you to do. Also included on your left side of this rack, or, well, whichever side you decide to put it on, because interestingly enough, this is the first time I've seen this, these are removable. Pretty interesting. But I'll finish talking about this. This is your foot prop for your rows and your lat pull downs and things like that. And that's gonna bring me to the pull-up bar, which is, you know, pretty basic. I'm kind of old school when it comes to pull-ups. I absolutely love pull-ups. I prefer basic bars like this. I do appreciate sometimes those nice individual grips, but like I said, I'm kind of an old school pull-up guy, so I really actually appreciate this style pull-up bar because it just makes it so I can get just about any grip I can possibly imagine on this. I know this is very simplistic, but I still like it. There isn't any knurling or anything on this guy, so I'll probably end up taping it just to get a little bit better of a grip, but not a huge deal. Once again, doing the little things, the simple things right, and that, my friends, is just the theme of this machine. The M1 is a shining example of how you can be a budget machine with not a lot of materials, but as long as you do the important things right, you can be as simple as you want to be. Because this is just an absolute simple, basic design machine, but it does all the things that it's supposed to do perfectly. This machine's been out for quite a while. I definitely think RITFIT spent some time here improving on different things. And for a power rack Smith machine, cable machine combo in this price range, it's all you could really ever ask for in a machine. And I'll stop here and say, I did not expect that from this machine. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but I just wasn't expecting to like it this much. And look, we've been extremely critical of RITFIT in the past. Sometimes we've gotten machines very early in the game, very early release from RITFIT, and found certain bugs that they corrected down the road. I like to think that I'm pretty brutally honest with the things that I review, but the RITFIT M1, it's won me over. And it is way more of a contender in this tournament than I initially gave it credit for. So, with that being said, the next comparison video, it might be a tight one. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for joining me. And if you have any questions on this review, I kind of flew through this. So if you have any questions, anything that I missed, please put it down in the comments and I'll be glad to answer you. Stay active, stay grinding. Don't forget to subscribe.